Aloha, and I hope you guys are doing a wonderful August. It's here, which means it's in between summer and fall, and it falls right into the Aquarius. And what that sign means is that there's a lot of things that we put in because during the new moon that happened last month, which we have to put in our new intention. And so this full moon that's coming up on the 11th is all about where you're at. How is this intention that you're putting in? Are you fulfilling it? Are you putting your energy into it? And this is really a time to seek into where is your energy, because energy has many different flow. And sometimes if we don't conduct the flow of energy, the chi, it goes all over the place. And so that's what might be happening. I don't want to use the word might, it is happening around the world. And in our last segment, when I did the new moon, I mentioned that lockdown, and it just so happened today 80,000 people who went to China and was in a very high density place that had COVID, they're in lockdown. So there's like 80,000 tourists is literally locked down in China. And so travel plans are very unpredictable. I heard the American airline is canceling flights. And so we are in this very unpredictable thing that's going to really start to, like I said, the energy is already moving. And once it moves, because we are on our fourth back-to-back super moon, which means when that happens, it's very close to the earth. And that's when things really starts to, the vibration becomes significantly different. And so in my last segment, and you can always check back, and most of all, subscribe to Cocojor channel YouTube to get the latest information about health and wellness. And I do these talks maybe 2-3 times a month, just so we can give you some preparation on what we can really encompass within ourselves. This is an overview. So this has maybe resonate to something or may not be resonated to something. It's really on how the tide of yourself is focused. And this is really a place where I teach on how to really get yourself grounded. That's why I made a sanctuary. And in all of my courses and webinars is really a place where I'm not going to get into your face and say, like those coaches out there. This is a place that I created as a sanctuary to give you directions. The direction is your compass. In Hawaii, we say our opu, or gut feeling, and how we should really navigate, because if we have this map, we can get to our next journey, our next goal, and how things encompass. And once you know you have it aligned, and I'm going to take you behind the hood and show you what I mean, because maybe some of you are not part of my own personal Facebook page, which I write my journey, because it shows, oh, remember back this memory. And I do that. That's one great thing about Facebook. It shows back the memories, what happened 11 years ago. And so we're going to get into back of that hood later on. But we're talking about things that really, how energy is going to really play the part on where you're really putting things, because we're always looking to find solution, right? And at least we're going to be prepared when the time is going to happen. When you have that right intention, and that's what really the new moon is all about, is when we put in the intention. And the month of August is really about how are you fulfilling your intention, because it's going to start to trickle down the funnel into the next half of the year and into 2023. And so really, how can you really put down your compassion and what you really want to welcome into your life? Because when I say welcome, welcoming may sometimes be, like I always say, the good, the bad, and the ugly truth. Because we all have some kind of ugly truth that's behind all of this goodness and this badness that comes to us. And so things that we really need to do is stay focused, because once you're on this journey and start to understand the technique and the tools that I give to you, whether you are in my webinar classes or just listening like this live, or really subscribing to my YouTube channel, you can see how my energy is. It's not straight in your face, blah, 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 blah. It's more of an overview, a bird's eye view, and how we can find solution with a very strong, compassionate feeling and welcoming these energy. Because you know what? There's all different kind of cookie cutters out there who thinks that, okay, you're this certain type of this, and so we should follow the rule. No, every ruse, like they say, has to be broken, because we have to seek how we can improve ourselves in different kind of level. And when we say different kind of level, it's how the frequency of ourself rise up. And that's what's happening right now. Like anything else, right? You think we're still going to be the caveman as we were before, way back in the days, or still be in a plantation field back in, back in the days? Or, these things has its funnels of really revolution, evolution of changes. And especially now is why all of a sudden things just happens to change, is because we need to upgrade that energy to match it what's happening around us. Can you imagine way back in the 1990s? They never even think about having cellular phones or people growing things the way they are right now, where they're making all these, who knows, scientific lab foods, and, where you sometimes have to think twice. What is this? And so, all of these things are really coming into the forefront. And like I mentioned in the beginning of this summer, really is when things are going to start to grow, because they have already planted their seed long time ago. Let me tell you that. And now those seeds are turning into a full life tree of life, where they know that the old ways of eating the chicken or the cow or the thing is now changing into these unknown laboratory things that they're starting to make. And so food is really going to come into play, especially in August, because we're trickling down from water. And when we start to get all these things, because I said, watch out for water, food, and technology. These are the three main things that's going to start to really evolve, because the system, whether you are in the banking system or whether you are in the, the food system, restaurants, and, all these things all falls into different categories, because these are the businesses that we bring, whether you open a new restaurant or you closed another restaurant, or you're thinking of changing your restaurant into a food truck. You see how things are evolving is really the way we had to think about where we at. And so I'm going to take you, like I mentioned, behind the screen and show you what I mean about all of these things, because in life, we really don't know how it's going to be, right? Like who, what, when, and why, and how is what I'm talking about. I thought I could see this on my YouTube, but sometimes they block it off because why? There's sometimes when we put things of, they think it's not good for us to see, or they think that we shouldn't, is when in the past the truth was hidden, right? Today, people hide from the truth because sometimes we're so scared to find out what the truth is. And that's what really happened in 2020, when we have to really start to think, to wake up and get our head out of the sand to see what are both of them. What in the past, the truth was hidden. And today, people are really hiding from away from the truth, right? And so, in my personal page, I really kind of set up my page into a storybook because that's what Facebook started, right? Remember MySpace? Well, MySpace turned into Facebook because the person who started MySpace really had that great idea, because it is your space. It is your forum. It is your platform where people talks about all kind of stuff. And so really, some may be the truth, some may be not the truth. But here at my channel, which I start to call it the Cocojor channel, by the way, I'm Monica Shigenaga, the founder of Cocojor, and I have two Facebook page, well, actually three, because one is all about me, how I started, and it is a journey that I bring over to my other page, which is Cocojor Hawaii, which we're going to be doing these fresh canine cuisine to go. We used to do turkey, heka, wagyu beef, honey roasted rosemary chicken, for our pooch that wants to eat good food. And so now, as we dip into the last summer sunset, we're going to be literally heading off into how to really preserve. And this is what I did 1 year ago, which I have to get into that again, is my kombucha, and kombucha, what I love about it is not only that it's healthy and it keeps you really detox all that unnecessary thing. It's really about life. It grows in there. And so life is always growing. Sometimes, like in Hawaii, we see it as our island got betrayed by the US Army or the Navy or the Marine or any kind of forces that is out there. But there is that yin and yang because of the armed forces that's there. We are protected in many, many ways. And, we give thanks to our service people. But there is the other flip side of it that most of us may or may not know, is about what's happening here in Hawaii, where really our water is contaminated and is poisoning our community. And so we see there's so many ways on how people see themselves. Like this person, it's unreal. He decided to really change the way he looked because he thinks that being a human is not what he is. He's a beautiful person. And so he decided to change his appearance, his outer appearance, because that's how his inner feeling is felt. And obviously his mother supports him because that is her loving son. And so there's so many different people that there isn't a one size fit all, because we have grown through many different kind of environment. And we have things where there could be mistrial because it was maybe too many things of what that person did. Really, he didn't think. It was all about during 2020 is getting how many people to be in this huge thing. What happened is the divide, where Black Lives Matter and Asian hate surfaced again, along with all these things that became a conspiracy theory, became some of these things from the conspiracy theory does have some ugly truth to it. And so really, all of a sudden, guess what happened? Oops, the lawyer screwed up. Whether you are him or whether you are Johnny Depp, really, your voice becomes different once it goes into another person's hand. And that becomes their narrative, their ways. And from there, the news media will pick and choose what they want to go and bring out to what we see today. And that's how all of these things of really humanity change, and how people starts to discriminate really because the color of their skin or how they feel deep inside because of what we've just gone through. And so sometimes when that happens, karma switches their position. And it's how we choose to really dedicate ourselves with that compassion and welcoming this new thing of how to really resonate and change. Because why? Guess what? Like I mentioned back, Lily, in January, that we have to start to prepare for the second wave. And right now it is a second wave that is happening. And in the US, the Biden administration declared monkeypox as a public health emergency. And so things are starting to really erupt because there is going to be an assortment of breed, right? Coming in, it was a bat, COVID-19, now it's Mr. Monkey. And so all of these things, I really go, and if you want a QR code straight into my YouTube channel, you can do it right now while I talk about this, because this is the next new wave that they're trying to bring in and start doing some of these, once again, lockdown. Why? Because it worked the first time back to almost 3 years ago. Because all of these, like anything else, needs to be retrained and reprogrammed every 3 to 5 years, right? And so when all of this happened, you got to think twice that this all of a sudden didn't just happen in 2020. They had to be prepared for all of this, right? So like I mentioned, every 3 years, things are going to change, and how it changes is really how we put ourselves into being focused and what we have learned. If we have not learned anything in 2020, well, it's time to really dig deep. And that is what August is all about. And I'm doing this because it's getting you prepared for what it is. Because sometimes people, for the full moon, they feel it 3 days before the full moon, or use that energy 3 days afterwards. So there is that 6 to 7 days of going in there and getting it done. And always remember, the 7th day of the month is the month of really finding that energy of clarity, that you're getting yourself prepared, right? Just like when before you get your blood test done for a full, blood work check, they said do not eat after 9 o'clock or 24 hours, or 12 hours before your appointment to get your blood shot. Some say 12, some say 8. Is because we need to really focus, because not only, like I said, people downright eating Cracker Barrels, they are upset because all of a sudden they start to use plant-based meat, which cause an uproar. So people, if you want to eat meat, real meat, okay, is it going to be available? Think about it, how much cattle died in the beginning of this year, okay? So in order for us to get another huge cattle to start coming in after all that cattle, there was a reason for why, because they need to have something in between. Before, we can't always have veal. They're going to be killing all these little babies, calf, to make meat of veal. So there is a reason for why all of these cattle died, is because they wanted to really perhaps test market the people. Because we got to check back to see who are the largest cattle owners right now owning these land. I'm not going to say who. Google it, right? It's the person that has a lot of these land. And so, like, people is literally complaining, send it back to Gates. Because all of this really, you have to see is what works. We got to reuse it 3 years later and put in the improvement and how we can add in things. And so you're going to start seeing this, whether it's Cracker Barrel or whether it's ABCD restaurants, because they have to cut costs on so many things, is a lot of these unknown lab made things. And whether, like this one, I have to put it, it's so funny because people finally got to see all this time how women was always being the abuser, where men was now put in behind and already prejudged that they were guilty, right? And so all of a sudden, because of this Johnny Depp trial, men had their day in court where, listen, we are the one who also get abused. And so whether now it's all about before, the woman's right against the men, and now the table has changed, because there's now so many different kind of, I guess, ways of describing us, right? Whether you want to become an alien, or she, he, or he, she, or competing in, men competing in as women in their division, in their sports, as whatever. So a lot of these things are really going to start to come into play. And we already seen it happen, whether it's the Johnny Depp or whether that person the gentleman who is now a she, won the swimming event. And so a lot of, or the powerlifting thing. And there's a lot of these things that is happening in the new now, right? Back in the days, you would never think that Johnny Depp would have his day in court. But like I said in my other video, this is a time where it's going to start to, the table is going to start to turn and bring light to a lot of things. And when a lot of things turn light, people are really having their day in court. And so this is a real, I remember this one because it happened in LA where this guy was so calm, the pilot, he could not get to, the airport. And so he stayed calm and landed so safely on the freeway. And it's really about the state of mind and how we do it. Because if we look around us, 2020, a lot of us planted our seed. And right now, our garden is going through the middle phase where the soil that we put in is taking out some of them that are synthetic, and I'm bringing in some of, and I'm digging and digging and digging my old soil to mix it together with some of these soils that I bought it at Home Depot, Lowe's and stuff, because a lot of it I know is not really real soil. It burns my hand because I'm very, very highly sensitive. But it is what it is, and that's what it was there. And so we have to learn what's actually going around us. Because if we created this habit of creating our own garden, whether it's planting, like I did the whole entire shebang and turned my place into a sanctuary, or if we, like I had an apartment back in Beverly Hills where I put my lanai and I put my own little sanctuary where my dog, her dog bed over there with some orchids and hanging my laundry. So, people would used to trip out and say, "What is that line?" And I'm like, "Oh, I hang my clothes." And they look at me like, "What?" And so I don't know, maybe I'm the only one hanging clothes in Beverly Hills, but I didn't care. But for me is, I know what is good for me. I don't care what they think. I'm getting fresh clothes. I'm not going to use the community dryer where it's just a whole bunch of gross air comes in and go on top of my clothes, and I don't feel good. And so things like this, we have to start to look into, which is a tree of life. And if the tree knows exactly what to do by nature, can't us human learn from them? Really, this tree got its life cut off, but it decided to regrow itself. And I can really say this because my tree out there, the crown flower tree, it literally one day decided to just kaput die. I'm like, oh my God, it's completely dead. But I gave it this love, this nutrient, and I gave it some bananas. I gave it, all these natural fertilizer, you know, fish fish poop, water. That's like the gold over there. Besides using the micro bubble water after you wash a dog and all that gut comes out, you know what? I call it DOG, dog organically grown, and I throw it into my garden because, hey, you might as well do sustainability, right? Use it because it's gonna help your plants, your vegetables, your tree grow. And so all of these things are really, if you look into how things are, you can really save a lot of time, money, and most of all, give back that energy into life. And so my crown tree now has a new life. It's like if you come here, it's a tree inside another tree that's growing out. And it's interesting because that's where I have my beautiful statue, and so my Buddha statue over there is so beautiful. And that I didn't know by a fluke. I found it because I was just going on a Buddha hunt looking while I was creating my sanctuary. And I just said it to the universe. And I said, you know what? I need to have a nice big statue over here too, because that tree, was right there. And it kind of, I think it was before or right after it died. And after that, it just brought exactly what happened like this. And so in life, it's really about watching what's around us. And when you feel that time where you need to get that cleansing, and I'm so, so lucky to have beaches like the Gold Coast surrounding around me. I have the mountain, Mocha and Makai, which means the ocean, to really, and I'm smack in the middle of it where I get this energy of both. And when we feel that, this is when water therapy is time to replenish yourself. And, if you don't have a beach near you, hey, jump into the shower or take a nice long hot bath or find a place to do this, because this is when it's your body, okay, is made out of 70 to 80% of water. Whether we sweat and take a bath, those are just surface things. And this, especially water therapy, is really finding your inner peace. And when it comes down to your inner peace and see the flow of energy, the chi, okay, the patterns of life that you thought was flat is really in different form. And so by cleansing thyself to feel all of that, it's really about finding how you want to bring in this energy, because once you tap into this energy, all of a sudden you're going to feel very much, like I say, awaken. And when that happens, why is because water is like the stock market now. The rise and fall of millions of people that's right now happening in the US, where they're going to start to see the reduced access to both water and power. And that's pretty scary because that is life. And so if we don't really know how to really start to understand how much, for example, like I said, the Honolulu, a lot of us don't know out there because we don't really hear news about Hawaii. Let me tell you, when I was living in the Los Angeles, you don't really hear news about what's happening on the island, but you know, this is what's happening out there, where millions of people are really at risk because of all of this spill. This is happening right now in Japan. And what we need to realize is that, like I said, water, food, and technology will magnify. The fourth full moon is coming back. And when you can prepare yourself, because having that peace, that calmness, just like I just showed you, and how that pilot had to really believe in the faith, the universe, the energy to just make him a safe landing on that freeway. Nobody got hurt. No cars got damaged, no nothing, because he had a calm mindset. And how do you get a calm mindset is what makes me my superpower, my super energy. And so great things like this would really come out, because this is when This is when your inner, because you're using your inner strength, your powerhouse, and everybody's trying to look in to see what's going on. Yeah, let's see if she's really talking about and being being nosy, or really, for me is I use what I have because I have compassion to share my gift with everyone. And how all of this technique works, because this is one example. Okay. Yesterday, exactly 11/11, I trained the first dog detox spa in Hawaii from the New York fashion runway, because Cocojor started off with doing Hawaiian doggy fashion because that was the biggest thing that was happening back then. Then I trickled down into my skincare because dog needed to detox, because my dogs, I was frustrated. I spent hundreds and thousands of dollars until I was able to find microbubble and how it works for my dog. So I decided to bring it out to everyone. And this happened yesterday, 11 years ago, where Lily, I was teaching the crew, and my things came in from my warehouse in Torrance, and my good friend who Michael Pekele, God rest his soul, he passed away this year, but he was really helping me, because he was the local brother from Hawaii, and he set me up, and I will ever be so grateful, because man, really, I was getting tired from going from one trade show to the next trade show. Try imagine bringing all of these things from Hawaii to the mainland trade show, because Hawaii really doesn't have much of this industry back then. Because I had to wait for my dog supplies, such as grooming tables and all that, to come in. And luckily, I saved all of this, and how I started from Japan, and how the New York Pet Fashion Week took me back in full circle back to Japan and opened up out there. And really, it's all of these things that I had the opportunity, because if you look at my other webinar, we talk about when opportunity knocks, when to go for it. And this is exactly what August is all about, is where is your energy? Where are you at? Are you taking these chances? Are you taking these, leap of things that you always want to do? Because remember, we have one life in this time. And we are living in such a big, huge, epic moment of life, where really it took me from Japan to Hollywood to like The Simple Life 2 to being on all these famous magazines and winning awards with Dog Fancy magazine for creativity on my Hawaii 5, which you guys can purchase online at cocojor.com. And so all of these things really is evolving 11 years ago, and how it took me back. And that started literally Cocojor 20 years ago. But getting back to the breaking news, because now LA County calls monkeypox state of emergency. So now it trickled down from, the US, America, Biden, and now each county, and from the county is going to go into the state, is starting to call for these declare of emergency. And so it wasn't planned yesterday, but exactly 11 years later.
Out at her place because it costs so much to ship out of this. So I want to make sure that this is gonna work for her. And yeah, because nobody in Hawaii sells these kind of grooming supplies like these. Yep, there's no, you can't get it. No, you can't, because I had to go into the mainland to go get it.
And so really,
years ago, I got my shipment. We were just talking about it from Matson, and this had all of my grooming supply, my grooming things that, like I said, you can't find it here in Hawaii. So she's going to try it out. And with her new venture with Cocojor, it's almost look brand new, yeah?
and so at Cocojor, we help people. Nadine she signed up for
how to do this meridian line and acupuncture, and she just said something so well. What did she just say?
It's like when you meditate and you bring your chi and you make your chi go around your body, and it's like bringing all the toxin out of your body.
Correct.
And it's like with the chart, you have those points.
Exactly. Yeah. So how you move it and how you flush it. So how you bring in the pure into all of the ENT out into the gallbladder and taking it out to a certain point of the body we just went over. So all of this is all in our courses. So if you want to learn, come join us. Aloha. We about how she used a micro bubble on herself. You can tell about your son.
No, so he had a red zit. Mm-hmm. The next morning it was pink.
Oh,
and
wow.
It was like a little bit smaller.
Yeah.
So I told him, I go, so I took a picture of his face the next morning.
Yeah.
But I actually should have took a picture that night before he used it.
And now you're growing hair in back of your head?
Yeah, back here, like right here. Like I see all these hairs start coming up. I have bad enough I have over here, right? But it was starting to come out over here. I was like, hey.
Now you're growing more hair. But it's amazing. How was it the first time you used it on your own self, your body?
It was good. And I had a cut, like a scratch.
Yeah.
And my bruise started coming out.
Yeah.
My bruise lasted like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But it was gone like in a week.
Wow. See, because it moves all that circulation of your blood. So your body feels, how does it feel after you take a shower?
Oh, it feels good.
Right?
It's relaxing. It's like totally relaxing.
Yeah. It's like you didn't know that this little one machine can do so much. It's powerful.
It's good. I actually want to get two. I was like, oh, can I?
Yes, you can. You can get two. Don't worry. We'll work it.
I know. Maybe later. Okay. I was like, keep one in the shower and one for the humans and one for the dog.
Yeah. Because it works. And that's the thing about it, is that now that we have so much water problems like pollution and chemicals, think about it. What this goes through, now you get it. It's like, people, wake up. We need good water, good ways. Aloha.
And so really, we are all about, I don't want to screw this up. I don't know how to get out of this. Okay, so I guess I press this. We're back to here again. I don't know. But this is what Cocojor made, is really focusing on one singular, on how to make it feel better. Because if we can bring this joy into our dogs, we created a machine where it's all in one to help the human as well too. So this is something that really I wanted to share, and let's drive back right into January of 4th and 5th, 2022. I mean 2020, out there in Beverly Hills. right on Wilshire Boulevard. My girlfriend was, she was watching me.
Good morning. You know what I notice out here in the US is that nobody really wear face masks when they have a cold. Or it's super expensive. I was gonna go and get some, and it's like $12. If you go to Dye Show, you get one full box for $1. So if you ever need face masks, go down to Dye Show, and it's $1. So I guess because in Asian country like in Japan, whenever you're sick or you're coming down with a cold, everybody pretty much wear a face mask. So maybe this is a way now to get a lot of bacteria not coming into you or giving it out. It's called etiquette. So flu season is here. Take care of yourself and be healthy. So wear a face mask. Aloha.
So I gave my public announcement over there because I felt it coming back in Beverly Hills on January the 5th, 2020. And my girlfriend from Japan just so happened to be in town. So I told her January 4th, start wearing the mask because I don't feel good. Something is coming up because back in July 22nd, 2008, I received a text from this person who is in the medical field. And he wrote to me, I am touring the Corona Emergency Department with our new candidate. I really didn't know how to take that, but it was just so bizarre and weird. And I looked up what it means. And so for me it's all about preventative care. And so really, just like how I felt now yesterday, you always don't have to tell your side of the story, and time will tell. And as you can see, this is very interesting. It went from the Kamehameha the Great, 1903, to President George Washington. And what is me in Japanese as it goes up on life, about history and everything, in the end is enshrined Kami, which Kami means the God. And we have many different kind of gods that we believe in, whether it's the Buddhists, whether it's God, Jesus, Hare Krishna. Everyone has their own way. And which is right, which is wrong, it really doesn't matter, because it's how we feel is really in how we embrace ourselves as people. And so really, because we have already experienced this really bad energy in 2020 and how we were so much divided, it's only fair to say that we need to really prepare ourselves, because life is really about being respectful to our ancestors and really taking the time to really purify our self-being. We already got the message on how to wash our hands, and it's always left, right when you wash it. Anyways, if you want to go to my Facebook, it shows you how to do it the right way for going into like a Japanese temple, before you get into the temple, they want you to do some certain things like washing your hand and rinsing your mouth. And so, hey, July was the crab, right? It's how we're going to survive. The crab, last month, July, when the new moon set in on the 28th, I said it. The crab is a time where they have to find the balance, because crab don't walk forward or backwards. They walk from side to side. And so when we have this side to side astrology in July, it's a time to really find your balance and what's going to bring into you. And really, are you really prepared for the next half of 2022 to 2023? Because when I talked about this, and it's funny because people called me crazy for assuming things that really turned out to be true, right? You saw it back here and back then. And so August is for, in my culture, in Japanese culture, is Obon season. And Obon season is a time where our ancestor comes awaken. Like in Mexico is October, right? The celebration of the dead. Well, in the Japanese custom, we call it Obon time, where this year is going to start from August the 13th to the 15th. And that's when they start to come in and start to pay their respects on seeing, okay, are you guys check, and that's why August is really about where is your energy? Because your energy is, sometimes we overstretch ourselves and we give it too much because we're not really looking for all these different kind of opportunity that may be there, because we are what? We keep on banging and banging on the same door, or, hoping and wishing by banging it and banging it that it's going to open. But we didn't look at door number 2, where we have these endless opportunities that could be thriving for us, because times are challenging and things are closing its doors from left to right. And so if you are in a position where you're in a section where you keep on hearing the same old story, the same old drama llama things, and the same old complaint that my husband doesn't do this, or my wife doesn't do this, cook at home, or why can't, the thing is that you go cook at home then, husband. If you complain that your wife doesn't want to cook at home, you cook at home, or vice versa. Learn to cook together. By showing great examples, your kids will learn how to do it, because listen, like I said, food is going to be really a challenge, especially coming in from like now summer, because it's time to go, because we had saw all the cattle and everything. We're in an in-between time all the way into October to the end of the year. These are the next hardest month that's going to hit us hard, whether it's water, whether it's food, whether it's technology. Okay. And so really, it's not a time to wishing back that the old school happened and back in Fonzie days and the Brady Bunch. And, you have to sense of this coherent things that's coming from your heart, because this is the time of crossing. And when the time of crossing and a time of transformation, the thing is that there's no magic pill to cure it, because evolution is changing. And that's when there's the dark. And there is a saying, the darkest time is when you see the brightest light, which is the truth, because the darkest time is when things needs to mature, right? It needs to age, whether you're aging wine or sake or kombucha. It has to mature because it goes into this dark stage. And once it's ready, the wine tastes good, the kombucha tastes excellent, and so things has to have the beginning, right? As we say, which comes first, the chicken or the egg? It's really a time to bring out into and using not the cheetah mind or your monkey mind. Is really using this mental energy. And this mental energy is when we have to ask ourselves and step back and say, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen, but it's going to be interesting to find out. Because remember, the words that you use out to the universe is really your reflection of your mirror, of your soul. And so during this time of crossing, you're going to go and head into really uncharted waters. And so this is when sometimes when the fallen angels, and you start getting all these mixed things that's happening in the material world, because we're so engrossed with ourselves that we forget what is reality. Like I mentioned in my July episode about Kim Kardashian, what happened? Just yesterday, she just broke up with Pete Davidson. Who cares, right? But I just use that because she has so much impact as far as the material world is concerned, right? She was voluptuous, then she went into the starving mode because she wanted to wear history of Marilyn Monroe. I watch her because not because I idolize her or I have anything. I use her as an example of contents of how many people look up to that kind of contents, because that is the material world contents of life, right? Oh my God, look how much likes I got, or oh my God, look how much, and I'm doing it myself too. When I ask people to don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, as well as like our page, because that is how the technology works on their algorithm, or whatever it's called, algorithm. I don't know. Sometimes my vocabulary gets mixed up, but because it's really about not going into this really attitude adjustment time. Because listen, how many people and their attitude literally during the pandemic and now, their attitude at looking at people, at human itself, whether they taking the shot or not taking the shot, this divide started like that because of people attitude. Their attitude is not of respect. Oh, I respect you because you didn't take the shot. No, if a person didn't take the shot, you are a grandma killer. I don't want to go next to you. I don't want to. And there is always a reason or why. It's good and bad, but at the same time, you are hurting people, which cause animosity, which cause divide, which cause all these things. And so really, we've already come down to this really sinking empty well where, you can't produce any more contents of the badness of humanity that happened in 2020, because we saw the grossness of people dying from this airborne problem. And so really, I'm not sure how long this video is going, and I feel that it is coming close to um, an hour of this webinar class. It's really time to dig deep into reality, your spiritual reality, because that is the one that's going to really turn the key of your chi for the next, the next era, the next world, and how it's going to move. Because really, we only have this short time. We've already went into this thing. We all just need to replenish, dive deep into our task, meaning the spiritual reality of ourselves, and really find the divine, because you know what? That is where the mental world of the real self-care starts to happen, because you're going to start opening up your consciousness. You're going to come in contact with the real you, because you're getting it from the real source. It's not, don't worry about how am I going to do this, how I'm going to make money, and how I'm going to do all of XYZ. Once you really open up, and this is what we call, I teach, is about self-care. And people say, believe in the process. What process? The process of many things are happening, whether it's in the outer world or in your mental world state. Mental world means it's not mental crazy. Mental means the of you putting this oxygen mask, right, for survival, to find your purpose. Because once you find that sanctuary, you will start to heal. And I'm just giving you the technique on how to do it. The rest is in your shoes. Because why? You just open yourself up to the universe, and whatever divine spirit that you believe in is now this higher power. Really, that strength, which I just showed you, this silent higher power strength is on your side. And so really regroup, 8-8, really regroup yourself this month. I'm going to go more deep into the full moon, but I just wanted to put it out there what August is all about, because it's really a time to ask for forgiveness and really come into your own space, finding, and in Japan we call it omikoji. And it's really where it's a random of your fortune, because literally the sacred lot that you usually receive these offerings is through finding yourself. What's written over there, whether it's good or bad or the ugly truth, we all have it. Is how you want to deal with it. Is really, this is honestly a good time to do that. I did it, and it really gave me the clarity, because listen, this just happened 2 hours ago, that there is a lockdown that is starting to happen in China, where all these tourists are shut down. So reschedule your ways of looking at your tree of life, because it's really the strength and beauty. It represents your personal growth. And sometimes that personal growth is scary to do. But if we don't open that door of opportunity, our eyes to our windows to our soul, that window could always be foggy. And so no matter what, we all have this uniqueness within ourselves, this individual beauty, just like that guy that we just seen. And so don't really take it where you need to feel that you have to be against this huge ugliness of being mean to people and calling them names, because they hurt. I went through it. I literally went through it, where I was seeing all these things that, and I really hesitant to start again, my YouTube channel. But until I seen that I had 2.4 million views on my dog care for helping and giving advice on this Great Dane, it really sparks me that, you know what? Who cares? Because everyone is unique. I'm representing my individual beauty of it in response to, just like the tree, right? The tree has so many different passage of branches to the sky. Therefore, the branches are just as strong as they grow upwards. So that's why we have to strive for the wisdom and understand that there are new experiences on our way. So, they may be out there to scare you just now that, there's going to be a lockdown. There are going to be all these things that's going to happen with the food, the water, and technology and all these things. Really plant your seed, plant your intention, because the full moon is coming up August 11th. This is a time where you really let go. Like I let go of some of my grooming equipment that I had from 11 years ago and still in great shape, because I see that she's starting her new branch of life. Just like that tree, you create that branch, you start to evolve. So everybody can really reach to the sky. The sky is unlimited, it's effortless. It's really in how you treat yourself today. Don't wait till tomorrow. So if you want to learn more about how to put in and what to do during the full moon and the new moon, it's in my YouTube channels. So don't forget to subscribe, because hey, it's part of life to give back the knowledge of people who wants to know. And so I can't wait to see you on our next video. And most of all, you take care and always find yourself and your inner peace. Aloha.